What is up, Endgame community? I'm Pierre. Just like I did for running backs a week before, I'm going to talk about my top 10 wide receivers for the rest of the season to get you ready for the fantasy playoffs. So let's break it down, starting with number 1, the obvious pick. It is still Cooper Kupp. Now, a lot of people got worried, nervous that Odell Beckham would change the chemistry of the team, maybe eat into Cooper Kupp's target share. And of course, the first game back, people are all panicking because Kupp only got some garbage time yardage. Well, guess what? Everything is just as it was. Kupp is absolutely fine. The last 2 games with Odell Beckham on the roster, 96 and 129 yards receiving. He's still getting a ton of catches. It doesn't matter when they come, points are points. Clearly the number 1 guy. There's no way you can move him out of the top spot unless something happens, but hopefully it doesn't. If he's been carrying your team all year, congratulations on drafting him. All right, coming in at number 2 was last year's top fantasy receiver, Davante Adams. No, he's not producing at the same clip, but you might not realize he's actually getting more yards. He averaged 98.1 receiving yards a game in 2020. This year's at 98.5. The difference, of course, as we predicted, is touchdowns. Chris and I talked about this through the preseason. Touchdown regression is real. It happens to nearly everyone. So he wasn't going to score at the same ridiculous rate he did last year. It's been a big drop, only 5 touchdowns this year. But the good thing with him is that the yardage, of course, the receptions are still there. You have that big cushion in PPR leagues. But also, the rest of the season schedule sets up really favorably for him and the Packers. In Week 14, they got the Chicago Bears, who they do own. And then Baltimore, their banged-up secondary, has been a bad pass defense the last few weeks. Cleveland, and then Minnesota. That is the best possible matchup you could ask for a wide receiver in championship week for a lot of you. So Davante Adams, no doubt, number 2. Now in Minnesota, you have a guy by the name of Justin Jefferson, who showed how he's still one of the top young receivers in the league. That 182-yard performance in Week 13. I mean, absolutely dominant. Of course, came with Adam Thielen sidelined. And here's the thing, Thielen with that high ankle sprain is going to miss Week 14, probably going to miss more time as well. Good chance he misses at least another game or 2. So with all those key pieces missing, it's going to be Justin Jefferson all day long. Firmly number 3 here, behind only those 2 studs at wide receiver. All right, now coming in number 4 is my boy Debo. You know Debo Samuel, he actually would be higher if not for the groin injury. May keep him out in Week 14, but hopefully that he's coming back. Not sure at this moment, but this is a guy who's number 2 among all receivers in fantasy points per game, averaging an insane 18 yards per reception, which, considering how many targets and catches he gets, that is ridiculous. You know his yak ability, but also being used as a runner, that's what makes him so valuable. Getting carries, of course, he's good for a touchdown almost every single game. This offense runs through Debo, so I know the Niners want him back. Definitely fantasy owners want him back soon, but I gotta have him at number 4, just behind those top 3, only because of the injury. All right, now number 5 is a guy that some people took as high as number 1 among all receivers this year in drafts. A lot of times was number 2 behind Davante Adams. That is Tyreek Hill of the Chiefs. This whole Chiefs offense just doesn't look quite the same. You might not realize he's getting more catches also. He already has 86 receptions on the year. He had 87 all of last year. So even though his yards per reception has dropped quite a bit to 11.1, he's getting targeted more frequently in the shorter routes. So the offense is adjusted. He's still busy, and you know he's got touchdown and big play upside every game. It hasn't happened lately. Let's hope it turns around if you have Hill on your roster. But again, the guy who could always go off for a huge game, maybe even this week. We'll see. So right now, I got him locked in at number 5. All right, number 6, I have a guy who's number 7 in terms of fantasy points per game and total points. That's Deontay Johnson. I'm moving up just a tick because his rest of the season schedule plays out pretty nicely as well. Gets Minnesota on Thursday night, Week 14, but then Tennessee, one of the worst defenses in terms of limiting fantasy points to wide receivers. Kansas City, well, they're getting better, but they still are susceptible to the pass, and we know Johnson gets targeted a ton. Could be a game they have to pass a lot, and then Cleveland. That should be a shootout as well. So the thing is, Deontay Johnson is steady and reliable. He hasn't had the drops this year. He's easily Ben's favorite target, and he's good to go every single week. You don't even have to worry about him. He's almost a lock as a top 10 receiver every game. So Deontay Johnson, I have as a very safe number 6 pick. All right, coming in at number 7, we have Stephon Diggs. Not quite leading the league in receptions and yards like he did last year, but still a top 10 receiver. The one thing he's improved on is he's finally scoring. He didn't get a lot of touchdowns last year. This time we've seen it go up. He's got 6 touchdowns just in the last 7 games. So that's kind of helped to kind of buffer some of the drop in production that we've seen from the whole Buffalo offense. Diggs is still the main guy there. We've seen a lot of those other receivers like Emmanuel Sanders and Cole Beasley just kind of get phased out. So it's all Diggs, no worries there. But one thing to keep an eye on, his schedule isn't great during the playoffs, especially week 15 gets Carolina and they're a much better secondary and their slow down style of play now. And speaking of slowing things down, New England gets that defense in week 16. So definitely not ideal. But this is somebody who, again, has that high floor. And Buffalo, let's just hope for their sake that they can keep their offense rolling. So right now I got Diggs, number 7. All right, number 8 is Chris Godwin. I guaranteed he would be a top 15 receiver this season in fantasy. Right now he's 5th in the league in receptions, just coming off that ridiculously huge game where he had 15 catches in one game. The thing is with that offense, we know they're going to pass no matter the opponent, no matter the score. It doesn't matter. Chris Godwin is the lead target there. Mike Evans does put up huge games, but he is a lot more up and down. We see that sometimes he disappears or sometimes he has a monster game. And Godwin is just as steady as it gets. So in your PPR or even half PPR format, he's always going to be the preferred option. He seems to be Tom Brady's preferred option. So no worries with him. 77% catch rate also for a guy who's top 10 in targets and 5th in catches, like I mentioned. That shows you that he is dependable. So he is a guy, always has high upside. Got him 8th. All right, now we're talking about target share. Keenan Allen has to be in the discussion. Right now, 124 targets on the season is 3rd among all receivers. This Chargers offense has been rolling again. Some people talking about Justin Herbert being inconsistent. I think we can kill that noise. He's been putting up huge numbers lately, and the Chargers are running mainly through Keenan Allen. Mike Williams kind of stole the show in the beginning part of the season, but now we see Allen has cemented his role as the top receiver in that offense again. Keenan Allen, a no doubt top 10 receiver. I have him number 9. And for the number 10 spot, who's it going to be? I really wanted to think about putting my boy Jalen Waddle in there. I mean, he's seen so many targets and catches over the past few weeks, and the Dolphins have a great schedule rest of the season, but they do have a bye in week 14, and the problem is only 4 touchdowns. I can't quite slide him into the top 10 yet as much as I want to. So with the 10th spot, I'm going to give it to CeeDee Lamb. Also, a lot of inconsistency with that whole offense, not Lamb's fault at all. Dak Prescott has been, for some reason, just off on certain weeks. It seems like they're alternating good games. But I do know CeeDee Lamb is the number 1 guy there, top target on that team. He is 12th still in terms of fantasy points per game among all wide receivers. The only 2 I didn't mention on this list that are ahead of him are Antonio Brown, who we're probably not going to see the rest of this year, and Marquise Brown, whose numbers have taken a big drop lately, along with that Baltimore passing offense. CeeDee Lamb, I think, is a guy that you shouldn't really have to worry about. No, we can't guarantee you're going to see a huge game every week, but the Cowboys do have an explosive offense when it's all clicking. So CeeDee Lamb is going to be my number 10 receiver for the rest of this season. All right, those are my top 10 picks. Let us know, what do you think? Who do you agree with? Who should have been higher? Who missed the cut? Leave us a comment and let us know. And if you like this, hit subscribe. Guys, we're here to help you win. Check out the description below for more information on how we can help you do that. All right, good luck this year.